Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet! Did you miss me? What am I talking about? Of course you did! And I missed talking about some Oscar films. So let's do it, guys. Let's jump right back in. These are my Oscar predictions for June of 2022. Now, I know what you guys are probably thinking.
Damn, isn't it a little bit too early to start talking about the Oscars?
Well, the thing about that is, shut up! Just shut up right now! Do I need to get the hose again? Do I? Yeah, that's what I thought. Now let's go over some ground rules, shall we? For this month and next month's video, I'm doing things a little bit differently. These aren't my full-on predictions. I'm actually going to be focusing on picture and director this month, and then focusing on the actors and actresses next month. And then after that, I'll go into my typical regular predictions. Also, I'm only going to be going over 20 films this time, because otherwise I'm going to lose my fucking mind. They're also in alphabetical order, so they're not in any, oh, this is the most likely versus the least likely. And lastly of all, guys, please keep in mind that while yes, I am going to be talking about a lot of films that could potentially get into the Oscars and films that other people are talking about, I'm also going to include a couple that I want to see get nominated or have the potential to, as well as some that I just really want to talk about in general. So keep those things in mind while we go into this, guys, and let's start off with everybody's favorite fucking douchebag, David O. Russell, with his film, Amsterdam.
Fuck you! I'm just trying to fucking help you. Do you understand me?
No, you're not.
I'm being a fucking collaborator. I was trying to help you figure out the fucking picture. Hey, bitch, I'm not here to be fucking yelled at. I worked on this fucking thing for 3 fucking years, not to have some fucking cunt yell at me in front of the fucking crew when I'm trying to fucking help you, bitch!
Yikes. Look, I think you could definitely make the argument that David should no longer be allowed in the Oscars or Hollywood in general, but come on, this is the Academy Awards, so fuck our opinion, right? And he does typically get in. Even when his picture isn't a Best Picture contender, sometimes the actors and the actresses do still manage to get in, so maybe that's what we'll see here. Regardless, I cannot deny the possibility of him getting in, which is the only reason I'm even mentioning him right now. So there you go. That's what I got for you for this first one. Asteroid City is next. This is Wes Anderson's newest film. And his films are typically hit or miss whether they're going to get into the Oscars or not. I do think Hollywood really likes his films and just how unique they are to him. At the very least, I think you could at least entertain the possibility of him getting into writing. And I have to say that there's quite a bit of new actors in his film here that I'm very interested to see get the West treatment and to find out exactly what they're gonna do. Like Tom Hanks is gonna be in it, Margot Robbie, Bryan Cranston's gonna be in the film. Bill Murray, wasn't he fucking canceled? Well, all jokes aside, I am looking forward to his film. I'm not the biggest fan of his, but they are still unique enough that I'm always at least somewhat entertained by what he does. Next, we're going to talk about Avatar: The Way of Water, a sequel that's coming out over 12 years after the original. Way to ride that hot streak, guys. Look, I know it's kind of weird to think that Avatar is a Best Picture contender, but let's not forget that the original one did fucking amazing. It broke a whole bunch of records, it got nominated for a bunch of awards, and if it wasn't for Catherine Bigelow sticking it to him, we might be living in an alternate timeline where Avatar won Best Picture. It's not worth thinking about. And truthfully, I have no reason to even think about why this might not also be the case. It is James Cameron. He gets his dick sucked every single time he makes a film, so this is probably going to be no exception. Alright, and as long as people aren't fucking killing themselves to try to get reincarnated as a Na'vi this time around, I'm on board. Now, while these are all in alphabetical order, if I had to pluck one and place it at the very top of the pack, it would be Damien Chazelle's new film, Babylon. Now, I'm a huge Damien fan. He's made 2 of my all-time favorite films of all time with Whiplash and La La Land. He also made First Man, but hey, that one got nominated at the Oscars too, so technically he's 3 for 3. So why the hell wouldn't we think that this next one is also going to follow suit? It is a film that so far people have called a masterpiece, and I am hesitant to be excited by that because I think that word gets thrown around a little bit too easily. But as a Damien fan, I am still just generally excited. This also has that whole circle jerk production, so I think it's gonna end up at the Oscars in some way or form. I really don't have any doubt about that. Next up is Bardo, or False Chronicle of a Handful of Truths. And yes, I do think that is purposely very similar to Alejandro's other film, Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, which went on to win Best Picture. So I can see why he probably would want to copy some of that into this one. Now, this film is completely set in Mexico. I believe it's just a Spanish-speaking film. So if this gets nominated, this could be this year's foreign or international feature film that gets nominated to Best Picture. And Alejandro, who does typically get nominated at the Oscars, could be this year's international director, which I know is kind of cheap as he's been in there before. But until some other contender comes along and ends up being a more likely suit, I think I'm ready to just leave it as is for now. And if he does get in, technically, we're still being consistent with those directors and Best Picture nominations, so hey, there's that. Now, the next movie on my list is one that I'm very surprised a lot more people aren't predicting, or at the very least, entertaining the notion of it possibly getting a prediction, and that's Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Now, I can completely understand why. This film does have quite an uphill battle to climb. With the unfortunate passing of Chadwick Boseman, I don't think a lot of people are going to be as interested in this film as the previous one. But I do hear they're going to be doing some things just right. First, they're not going to do that whole, whenever Black Panther is mentioned, oh, he's off on a mission somewhere, like some sort of Homestar Runner cartoon.
Well, Original Bubs, who is totally behind that refrigerator box, says I won the yodeling contest. Well, Original Bubs, who is totally behind that dishwasher box, behind that washer dryer box, that hot water heater box, behind that toothpick sculpture.
Yeah, don't do that. I also hear they are going to be killing off the character in this next film in a very respectable way. So I think a lot of eyes are going to be on it to make sure that it does pay a respectful homage to the late Chadwick Boseman. And if it does pull it off and a lot of people end up really getting the feels hit, we could very well see this make it all the way into Best Picture again. I'm not ready to count it out quite just yet. Now, of course, I gotta talk about Cha-Cha Real Smooth, which is this year's Sundance favorite. So it pretty much puts it on track with that of Coda last year. And I get, that's Sundance favorite, doesn't always go on to win Best Picture. But then there's Coda last year, and we all know how that turned out. I think a lot more people are going to be hesitant to remove it from their list. They're going to be keeping more of a close eye on it to see how it really does. I don't think it will go quite as far as Coda, but you can't deny the possibility that we might get surprised again this year. I also want to talk about Elvis, which just had its premiere over at Cannes. And the reviews for the film are pretty much exactly what we thought it was going to be. It's just another generic biopic film. But lest we forget, Bohemian Rhapsody was also a generic biopic film that went on to win a ton of Oscars. So, I can't quite rule out the possibility of this one getting in. And director Baz Luhrmann does have this kind of grandiose style that I think is going to attract a lot of general audiences. So if the reception on that end is very positive, I feel this could sneak in. I don't know if it'll be as big as Bohemian, but at the very least, I think it could get a nomination here or there. The one thing that I know a lot of people are talking about is Austin Butler, and I will be speaking more about him next month. Spoiler warning. Now I gotta talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once, because so is everyone else, and for good reason. I fucking love this movie. I've seen it so many times already, and I can't wait for it to get its home release so I can share it with so many more people. It also has a bunch of really great narratives surrounding its actors that I would love to see make it all the way to the Oscars. Not only that, but if the directors get nominated, I think it'll be the first time since 2010's True Grit with Joel and Ethan Coen that two directors get nominated. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. I believe that's what I read. And yeah, I think the only thing that's really standing in its way right now is that it came out so early in the year. So the momentum could fade, especially if something else comes along that completely blows everyone away. It hasn't happened yet, so I'm rooting for it. I want it to go all the way. I would love for it to win Best Picture. Yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, please do so. I also have to talk about The Fablemans, which is Steven Spielberg's Belfast. Basically follows his childhood and the people surrounding him and how they basically shaped him up to be who he is now. And when you hear a narrative like that, it's almost impossible not to think Best Picture nominee. And you could make the argument that the director category doesn't always follow his Best Picture, but I think with one as close to him as this film is, it's almost impossible to not think he's gonna get the push into that category as well. And in fact, I think more often than not, when it is a project that is very passionate for him, like last year with West Side Story, he does typically get pushed into director. So I really see no reason to not think he won't get in this year for this one. Following that one, I have David Fincher's newest film, The Killers. Killer, yeah. Now, a lot of people are actually saying that this is not going to get nominated because it's a noir-style film which doesn't typically get into the Oscars. And to that, I just have to say, it's David fucking Fincher. He does get in quite often. So I don't know why people are already writing him off as if this is not going to be something fantastic, but I'm not ready to do so. In fact, this is probably one of my most anticipated films of the year, and it's just because it's coming from him. He's one of my favorite talents working in Hollywood. I have my fingers crossed that he breaks the mold and breaks into Best Picture with a film that doesn't typically get in, because I love seeing those type of things happen at the Oscars. Of course, another very serious contender is Martin Scorsese with his film Killers of the Flower Moon. Like Steven, you always have to consider his films possibly getting into Best Picture. Sure, they don't every single time, but more often than not, they do. And as sickening as it is to think, with the recent unexpected and tragic passing of Ray Liotta, I do think more eyes are going to be on Marty's film when it releases, seeing as Ray did play one of his most iconic roles in Goodfellas, which is a Martin film. I don't like to think that way, but you know, it is what it is, so I have to take it into consideration. That being said, even if that wasn't the case, Martin is a legend, a fucking legend. So to not even consider the possibility of the film getting into Best Picture and him into director is just fucking stupid. Okay, let's talk about Next Goal Wins, which a lot of people I think have been putting on their predictions list for the last 2 years now. And I think most people are just wanting to see if Taika Waititi continues his momentum from Jojo Rabbit. I'm not 100% convinced. I think the way that it's shaping out to be, I think this is going to be an enjoyable film and nothing more. Maybe getting into Best Writing, but I don't know. That's just the vibes I'm getting from this film. Like always, I hope I'm wrong when I'm speaking negatively about films because I want things to blow me away and surprise me. I'm just not getting that feeling from this movie. So you might think differently, but this is definitely, if I were ranking them, gonna be towards the bottom.
Hey everybody, don't mean to interrupt myself, but the footage for the next movie I was gonna talk about, Jordan Peele's Nope, I have no idea what happened to it. I cannot find it. So instead of just skipping over it, I just wanted to kind of give a quick rundown of what I said in the video. I am very much looking forward to seeing it. I don't know if it's gonna be an Oscar contender. First, the Oscars have a phobia when it comes to horror films. Also, I believe his last film, Us, just wasn't on par with the first film, Get Out. But that being said, Get Out was very amazing. It did make it into Best Picture. So I think if we can ever see another horror film win Best Picture, I think Jordan Peele has the best shot at making that type of movie. So I really hope Nope is that movie. I don't know for sure, but I am very much looking forward to it. And that's all I really wanted to say about it. All right, back to the video.
Yorgos Lanthimos also has a film coming out this year called Poor Things. And if it's as popular as The Favorite was, which was a fucking Oscar darling, we definitely have something exciting on our hands. I mean, just looking at the synopsis alone makes me think of The Favorite. So I think we got a style going. I mean, obviously you can't make that decision just based off of the synopsis, but I don't know. It's just all shaping out to be the same as the favorite, which is a good thing. I definitely think is a good thing. Don't really have much more to say about it other than that, but yeah, I'll be definitely talking more about it when a trailer finally does drop. Rust is also another one that a lot of people are talking about and predicting. This is George C. Wolfe's new film following Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and even if it doesn't end up being a Best Picture contender like Ma Rainey was, at the very least, just like that film, I think we could see this easily being one that we're going to see a lot of performances getting nominated. So at the very least, I'm hoping out for that, but like always, this is a subject that I think really does have the potential to go all the way and be a serious Best Picture contender. She Said follows the two journalists who broke the Harvey Weinstein story, and immediately I start to think Spotlight, which is not a good thing in my book. Yes, I know that won Best Picture. You can argue whether that was the right decision or not, but ultimately, it is a story I'm very interested in seeing how they portray on film, but I know journalism sounds like it's a very exciting thing and learning about this and that, and I think the true process is a lot more boring than people realize. So yeah, I'm sure they're going to Hollywoodize this to hell and back, but I don't know. I'll remain weirdly, strangely optimistic for now anyway. Florian Zeller is also ready to come at us with another film, this time called The Son, which no is not a sequel to The Father, but hell, if you liked The Father, people are saying that The Son is a masterpiece. You see how often that word gets thrown around? Look, as long as we get some fantastic performances, maybe even some heart-wrenching performances like in The Father, I'm on board. But I do think in hindsight, I do think The Father is more of a very strong performance piece than anything else. So here's hoping that this film also contains that element to it. Also with the film coming out this year, we have Ron Howard with 13 Lives. This one following the rescue of the Taiwanese children that got trapped in the cave when it flooded. And if that sounds familiar, that's because that was the premise of the documentary that got snubbed last year, The Rescue. Is that a foreshadow of what's going to happen with Ron's film, or will he manage to actually break into the Oscar? Only time will tell. And last, and possibly least, we have The Whale, which I know some people are predicting, and I've even seen, I think, a few place it in their top 10 already. I'm just not convinced whatsoever. Look, I know Darren Aronofsky had made some great films, but he's also made Mother, which is a fucking piece of shit. I think that is my least favorite movie of all time, so you can already see why I'm hesitant to even consider the possibility of it getting into Best Picture. But even if I did, just the premise alone is one that I can already see all the backlash and people really boycotting it, and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna follow its way all the way up to the Oscars. I mean, unless the film is like super respectable with its subject material, I just don't see how it can really break into it. But that being said, I know some people are thinking, oh well, maybe not Best Picture, but certainly best actor, right? For Brendan Fraser. And to that I say, fuck! I'll talk about him more next month, but for now, that's really all I have for you guys. I know there's a lot more movies that I really could have talked about, but don't worry. As the year goes on, we are definitely going to see some of these films get kicked off the list. We're going to see new ones take its place, and we're going to get a more clear view of what is definitely going to get nominated. Guys, we're just starting off. I really hope you did miss me, because I got a lot of content coming your way. Oscars. I know it's a long way off, but I'm fucking excited. I love talking about film. I love talking about my thoughts with you guys. So, like always, just please let me know what you thought in the comments below. What do you think is going to get nominated? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? And like always, guys, please stay safe out there and have a good one.